Very good morning, dear students. Welcome back once again. How are you all, students? I hope you all are in good health and taking all the necessary precautions for your health. Take care of yourself. Stay home and stay safe, students. Before we going to start our today's session, I would like to do one announcement. I am really glad to announce that Chiranjeev Chabbi from Standard 8, his article has been published in Times NI. Before that, Suyash Naik, his article was also published in Times NI. I would like to congratulate both of them. Congratulations Chiranjeev and Suyash. I hope other students will also get motivated from them. Yes? Okay, so let's start our today's session. Today I would like to explain remaining important key elements of lesson number 3 of history, and the name of the lesson is Rural Life and Society. In the previous session, what we learned, student? In the previous session, we learned about the East India Company's system of revenue collection, in which we learned about the three settlements, right? First one, that is permanent settlement. It is also known as Zamindari settlement. Second one, that is Rayatwari settlement, and the third one, that is Mahalwari settlement, right, student? Now, what is the difference between all these three settlements? In Zamindari settlement, Zamindar was the head who collect the revenue of the land, right? He was the person who act as a middleman between government and the peasant. He was act like a link between the government and the peasant, right, student? And it creates a new class of zamindar. Here the revenue which they were collecting, it was fixed, and this zamindari system, zamindari settlement or the permanent settlement, it was introduced by whom? It was introduced by Lord Cornwallis, right, student? Second one, that is Rayatwari settlement. Here peasant, he himself responsible for direct payment of land revenue to the government. Here there was no middleman and there was no link between the government and peasant. Here peasant himself is responsible for the direct payment of land revenue to the government. And this Rayatwari settlement, it was introduced by whom? It was introduced by Sir Thomas Munro. And the third one, that is Mahalwari settlement. Here Mahal, it means the village community or the group of villagers. Here in Mahalwari settlement, village community was responsible for paying the revenue. Right, student? Now in today's session we are going to learn about the cultivation of indigo in India. What is indigo? Already I have explained this. Indigo is a blue dye, and indigo was in high demand in Europe. It was used for coloring the blue serge uniforms worn by the British police force and hospital staff. It was also used as the color of clothing worn by military personnel and the millions of workmen. This is how the term blue collar worker was coined in Europe. See, already we know, students, that the Britishers' uniform was in blue color. Again, the hospital staff, workmen, military men, their uniform was also in blue color. So indigo was used for coloring the blue uniform worn by the Britishers, and indigo was in high demand in Europe. Indigo is among the oldest dyes to be used for textile dyeing and printing, and India is believed to be the oldest center of indigo dyeing. It supplied indigo to Europe as early as the Greco-Roman era. From that period, India supplied indigo to Europe. Indigo was a rare commodity in Europe throughout the Middle Age. It was only after the Portuguese. His name is Vasco da Gama. Yes, look at the picture of this. He was the explorer, Portuguese explorer, right? He discovered a sea route to India towards the end of the 15th century that is found its way to Europe. So Vasco da Gama, he discovered a sea route to India towards the end of the 15th century that it's found its way to Europe. So indigo farmers in Europe were richly paid, but since it is a plant that grows primarily in the tropics, the produce was not predictable. Okay, so here the indigo, which its production, it was not predictable. and the plant grows primarily, okay, in the tropics. Look at the picture of indigo plant, student, for better understanding. Now next one, that is high demand of indigo in India. After the industrial revolution in England, there was a huge demand for the dye, especially in the textile industries. By this time, machines in Manchester, it is a city in England. It produced large amount of cotton fabric which had to be dyed. Since the climate of Britain was not suitable to produce the crop, it had to be imported from the Caribbean island and North America. Yes. Thus the British turned to India, where indigo was cultivated since the medieval times. But in India, till that point in times, it used to be cultivated only in a portion of the cultivable land, and this indigo cultivation was traditionally carried out through the niche and riot system. Okay, now what is the difference between the niche and riot system? Niche system, here planter themselves produce indigo, and in riots the planters get indigo produced by the peasants. Okay, now we will do the case study. When we will do the case study of this indigo cultivation, that time we will understand these two systems, these are the niche and the riot system, in detail. Now we will see the next point, that is indigo plantation in India. In Europe, the demand for indigo was increasing, so the company decided to encash. Encash means convert into money on this potential. So from towards the end of the 18th century, it enforced indigo cultivation in Bengal. In 1788, only 30% of the indigo imported into Britain was from India, and by 1810, the proportion had gone up to 95%. Here we can see the difference, student. In 1788, only 30% of the indigo it was imported to Britain from India, and by 1810 the proportion rate we can see that is it had gone up, and that is 95%, right? Charged up by the way business was picking up in the indigo trade, many people from Britain and even the company officials starting investing in the business, and the banks also encouraged loans to indigo investors. Now the next key elements of this lesson. See, here you can see the picture of this indigo dye factory which is in Bengal. Now we will see the after the indigo rebellion. The Indigo Commission's report made the condition of the peasants slightly better, but the plantation still existed. It was only after Mahatma Gandhi. Yes. Mahatma Gandhi visited Champaranya in 1917, and that the Champaranya movement against the indigo planters produced fruitful results. Here see Champaranya Satyagraha, it was the first Satyagraha movement. It was led by Mahatma Gandhiji, and it considered a historically important revolt in the Indian independence movement, right student? Why it is important historically? Because here Mahatma Gandhi gave direction to people to protest against injustice. So this Champaranya movement, it was very important moment. It was the important Satyagraha. It was led by Mahatma Gandhi. Now we will do the case study of indigo cultivation in Bengal. Study indigo cultivation in Bengal. Here we will see the system of indigo cultivation. Look at the picture, student. Here see, this is the scene showing indigo cultivation in Bengal. There were two systems for indigo cultivation. These are niche system and second one, that is rayat system. Okay, we will understand the difference between these two systems. In niche system, the planter themselves produce indigo, while under rayat system, planter get indigo produced by rayat. Rayat here means the peasant. In niche cultivation, planter directly employ hired labor to produce indigo, while in rayat system, planter force the rayat to sign an agreement to produce indigo. So first we will understand the niche system. Here in the niche cultivation, the planter produced indigo in lands that is directly controlled, and the land was either in the possessions of the planter or it was rented from other zamindars, and the cultivation was carried out and employing hired laborers. Now we will see the problems with niche cultivation. Indigo could be cultivated only on fertile land, and these were already densely populated. Second thing, that is, they had access only to the small plots scattered over the countryside, whereas large area were required. Actually, for cultivating indigo, these cultivators required large area, but they had access only to the small plots. Third problem with niche cultivation, that is, they attempted to lease in the land around the indigo factory and evict. Evict means remove or expel from the property. So they evict the peasants from the area. But this always led to conflict and tension, and it was difficult to mobilize labor. Mobilize means organize labor. Okay. Third, that is, niche cultivation on a large scale also required many plug and bullocks. Investing on purchase and maintenance of plant was a big problem. Nor could supplies be easily got from the peasant, since their plough and bullocks were busy on their rice field, again exactly at the time that the indigo planters needed them, because the indigo planters also needed the plough and the bullocks, but it was busy on their rice field. So investing on the purchase of maintenance of plough, it was also a big problem that time. Till the late 19th century, less than 25% of the land producing indigo was under the niche system. The rest was under an alternative mode of cultivation, that is the rayat system. Now we will see the second one, that is rayat system. Under the rayat system, the planter forced the rayat to sign a contract or an agreement. It is called as satta. At times, they pressurized the village headman to sign the contract on behalf of the Rayat. Those who signed the contract got cash advance from the planters at low rates of interest to produce indigo, but the loan was granted on the condition that the Rayat, means the peasant, had to cultivate indigo on at least 25% of the area under his holding. The planter provided the seed and the drill, while the cultivators prepared the soil, sowed the seed, and looked after the crop. The procurement means the action of obtaining something. The procurement price for indigo was so less that the cultivators were always in debt trap. Moreover, the peasants were forced to grow indigo on the most fertile land, which were suited for growing rice, and the peasants were reluctant. Reluctant means they were unwilling to grow indigo for two reasons. First reason, that is, it reduced the area of cultivating a rice, and second reason, that is, the land lost all fertility after the indigo was cultivated. Yes. Now the next key element we will see, that is the Blue Rebellion. In March 1859, thousands of Rayats in Bengal refused to grow indigo. As the rebellion spread, Rayats refused to pay rents to the planters and attacked indigo factories armed with sword and spear, bows and arrows. Women also turned up to this fight with the pots, pans, and the kitchen, whatever they implements. And the Gomasta, who was this Gomasta? He was the agent of the planters who came to collect rent, were also beaten badly. Yes. And in many villages, headmen who had been forced to sign indigo contracts mobilized the indigo peasants. In other places, even the zamindar went around villages urging the Rayat to resist the planters. Here you can see the picture of Indigo Rebellion, students. Yes. These zamindars were unhappy with the increasing power of the planters and angry at being forced by the planters to give them land on long lease. The Indigo peasants also imagined that the British government would support them in their struggle against the planters. After the revolt of 1857, the British government was particularly worried about the possibility of another popular rebellion. When the news spread of simmering revolt in the Indigo district, the lieutenant governor he toured the region in the winter of 1859, and the riots saw the tour as a sign of government sympathy for the plight, means the situation in that circumstances. Okay, as the rebellion spread, intellectual from Calcutta rushed to the Indigo districts, and they wrote of the misery of the riots and the tyranny of the planters and the horrors of the Indigo system. Worried by the rebellion, the government brought in the military to protect the planters from the assault, means the eruption, and set up the Indigo Commission to inquire into the system of indigo production. The commission held the planters guilty and criticized them for the coercive, means compulsory method they used with indigo cultivators. It declared that indigo production was not profitable for rowers, and the commission asked the rowers to fulfill their existing contracts, but also told them that they could refuse to produce indigo in future. So this was the result of indigo rebellion. So here in today's session we learned about the indigo cultivation, we learned about the high demand of indigo in India and the indigo plantation in India. Also we learned about we had done the case study of indigo cultivation in Bengal. Here we understand the two system, that is the niche cultivation system and the riot system, right? And we understand the blue rebellion. Here we cover up this lesson, student. I hope you all understand this lesson very clearly. If you have any doubt related to this lesson, related to this video, please drop your mail on the given mail ID. Already I had provided you, that is 8bct@pratibhaintschool.org. Only related to SST you have to drop the mail on this given mail ID, not about the other subject, only related to SST. Your doubts, your completed assignments, your solved worksheets, you have to send it on this given mail ID, student. Okay, and one more thing, don't forget to write comment in the comment box, as it's very mandatory. It's going to consider your attendance, students. There are many students those who are writing their comments on the regular basis, we are marking them as a present, but there are many students those who are watching the video but they are not writing the comments in the comment box, we are marking them as absent. So don't forget to write comments. Your name, your standard division is important, and simply write there whether you understand the video or you didn't understand it. Okay, student, today's session is all about it. I hope you all clear with today's session. Thank you and have a nice day.